everybody. Good morning, everyone. It is great to have you with us this Tuesday morning, the 13th of September. We have quite a bit to talk about. We are expecting a special guest this morning, MIssy Craddock, who is heading up the medical marijuana. Who is heading up the medical marijuana piece for the Office of Governor Kasich, and she should be here shortly. Missy, are you on the line, or?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you. So go ahead.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for inviting me. There's some feedback. Oh, there we go. Thanks for inviting me. I understand you guys are talking about medical marijuana today. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, we are. We're just I think you are the expert about what is going on at the state level. Missy is trying to coordinate. I mean, you're kind of the herder of cats right now, trying to coordinate the Board of Pharmacy and the Medical Board, and also the Department of Commerce into having a product that will not only be as seamless as it can possibly be, but then also really focus on public health as well. So I'm really excited that you're heading this up. So just an update on what is going on at the state level.
Sure. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is MIssy Craddock. I come to the governor's office to work on this project by way of the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services on loan from them. They pulled me over because the law that was passed, House Bill 523, if you're not familiar with it, it spreads the duties for running a medical marijuana program across 3 separate agencies, which is not always ideal in a world of bureaucracy to spread those responsibilities across, because then you wind up with no clear leader. So we are trying to make sure that everybody stays on task to make sure this program gets up and running in a coordinated manner, but also in a thoughtful way. I think that's very important to the governor. The first thing I wanted to mention right out of the gate is we have been able to stand up a website. If you haven't seen it yet, it is medicalmarijuana.ohio.gov. It is a shared website between the 3 agencies, the Medical Board, the Pharmacy Board, and Commerce. And all of the relevant information and updates will go out and be made public through that website. We intend to run a very transparent process of rulemaking and information letting. There are email updates you can sign up for there. There are our rules will be posted there, and just generally frequent updates. So please make sure you are checking that out. If you're not familiar with House Bill 523 and the medical marijuana program, there are upcoming deadlines. It became effective on September 8th, so just a few days ago. And but work has been long underway in this space. The first deadlines that are in the statute that are ahead of us are to appoint an advisory committee, so the Medical Marijuana Advisory Committee, which is housed within the Board of Pharmacy. This is strictly an advisory committee. It's not a commission like you think of the Casino Control Commission or the Liquor Commission or an entity like that. It's strictly an advisory committee. There are a variety of appointments that need to be made between the governor, the Senate President, the Senate Minority Leader, the House Speaker, and the House Minority Leader. I expect that the governor's appointments will be ready to go before too long. I know that the legislature has been working on theirs as well. All of those appointments need to be made within 30 days. And then 30 days after the last appointment is made, the committee shall meet. So those deadlines are ahead of us. That'll be a public meeting, and we'll make sure that we advertise that through the website. And I'm sure there will be plenty of interest in attending those meetings. I think we plan to use that committee to run our rules through as a first pass and to really start getting a handle on the concerns and priorities for stakeholders. The next really hard deadline we're working toward, as you may know, the bill licenses a bunch of industries related to the medical marijuana industry. it starts with cultivators, which is the entity that will actually grow the marijuana. Then, and those entities are licensed by Commerce. Commerce will also license processors and testing labs. And those are later in the process. The processors will take the grown product and turn it into some form for the consumer. And the testing laboratories are a critical piece in making sure that we know the content of the marijuana that we are getting and what is being sold to the consumer. Other entities to be licensed, once you get through the processors and testing labs, the Board of Pharmacy will be in charge of licensing dispensaries. I think we all thought that was important because those entities are akin to actual pharmacies, although not exactly like pharmacies, because regular pharmacies will not be carrying medical marijuana. Those establishments will be medical marijuana only. But the dispensaries are licensed by the Board of Pharmacy. The Board of Pharmacy will also carry the patient and caregiver registry. And of course, they will also house the advisory committee that we talked about. And then the last entity involved is the State Medical Board of Ohio, and they are responsible for giving a certificate to recommend to physicians. So any physician that plans to recommend, and we use that word very specifically, the statute says to recommend, not prescribed. A physician cannot prescribe marijuana because it is still an illegal Schedule I substance at the federal level. So they will be able to recommend marijuana to their patients, but only if they have a certificate from the State Medical Board, and that will require some education and some other requirements related to standards of care. The State Medical Board will also house the list of conditions for which medical marijuana can be prescribed, and that is a list of 21 conditions that is in statute, plus the Medical Board has the ability to expand beyond that if, and we expect they will get applications for adding conditions to that list. So that's the general overview of the duties under the bill. There are some other nuances, but timeline-wise, the first set of rules that we have before us that need to be done out of the gate are the cultivators, which makes sense when you think of the process, because in order to have medical marijuana available, you have to start growing it, and that takes some time. So those rules will be due in around May 8th of 2017. So we anticipate we will need to start making those public for review this fall. So look forward to that information coming out via the web. I think the other thing I wanted to add is, I am very concerned in making sure that we have a sound public health approach to this. As we've talked to other states, and we've done an extensive amount of research internally to state government. We are the 25th state to be doing this. We want to learn the lessons from other states. We want to learn how we can maybe not go down the path of Colorado. I think we want to learn the best practices from other states as well. So that's very important. So I want to make sure that we are taking a public health approach to this as well. And so one of the things we've been thinking about already is what kind of data we're going to need to gather related to this effort. But also, what other kinds of measures need to be taken, such as security and labeling and environmental factors. And that's really where you all come in. And I encourage you to make sure you're making your voices heard. A lot of you are experts in this area, and I think we want to know if there's a best practice of which you are aware in another state, or if you have ideas that will help communities be able to handle medical marijuana in a safe way. We want to hear from you, and that website is a really good portal for that kind of information. I also encourage you to feel free to reach out to me personally. My email is MIssy, MISSY.Craddock, CRADDOCK, @governor.ohio.gov. And so we have a lot of work in front of us, and I guess that's my bottom line, is I really encourage you all to be active participants in making sure that we get this right, because we're going to be pulled in a lot of directions. on this issue, and it's a big project. I'm really excited about it. It's not very often you get to participate in setting up a new area of state government. And that said, though, we want to make sure we are getting it right and that we are trying to do it in a way that is narrowly tailored to those who might need the help. So, does that help?
Yes, this is extremely helpful. And I am just to let everyone on this webinar know, there was quite frankly some worries internally here about how this was going to be set up. I think there are some big holes in this bill that do need to be filled in the rulemaking process. And I don't think there is, quite frankly, and I'm not saying this because she's on the phone, even if when she gets off I'll say it, and I say it privately in private conversations. I think there's no one better than Missy for this task, because she has extensive experience in this. I mean, she has held a number of different titles and roles in government, but also, I mean, in private conversations with her, she really does take a public health approach, looking at it from, what is best for folks, not only those that have, medical needs, but also what about the young people? What about those who might be, more apt to get marijuana outside of the normal process or outside of this legal process? So I really am thankful and hopeful that what Missy does and the rest of her group will be something that will be I don't think good is the word, but something that we can work with and keep the public safe as safe as possible. So, Missy, I'm just so thankful that you're there and so thankful that you're joining us this morning. I just had a question. So you will be looking at other states, what their successes and what their failures are in this process as you guys are writing the rules?
Yeah, we are actively looking at other states, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, in particular, some of the more modern programs that are medical marijuana only. We've also looked at Colorado in an effort to learn the lessons of what not to do. But yeah, looking closely at like Connecticut and Illinois, New York, and then a few states that are just a little bit ahead of us, like Maryland and Pennsylvania. Also Nevada. I mean, just a wide variety of states. I think we've identified, though, a few states that we don't want to be like, and a few states that are going down a path that we could follow.
Excellent. Well, I do not have questions right now, but Missy did give her email address out, so I will repeat that. It is Missy, MISSY, .Craddock, CRADDOCK, at governor.ohio.gov. And again, Missy's a friend to us. She was in the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, knows our field quite well, and really is a champion, I think, for public health. So thank you so much for joining us today, Missy, taking some time out of your extremely busy schedule. I don't even know how you're doing anything outside of work, because this is just a huge undertaking. So I just am so thankful that you're able to join us this morning. And the field is available to you anytime that you might want some help or guidance on some things.
Thanks, and I look forward to hearing from everybody.
Excellent.
Have a good one.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yep. So Missy is, now that she's off the phone, she is absolutely a champion for us all. If there's any way that you can take some silver lining out of this dark cloud that we have hanging over us, I think it is that Missy does have the best of intentions of all Ohioans, and she does know our field quite well. We've had numerous conversations about both publicly and privately about prevention, so she does understand what prevention looks like, some of the do's and don'ts of prevention. So we really are excited about her being over this. Does that mean that we'll get everything we want? Probably not. As she said, she is being pulled in every different direction. I think we will need to be very adamant about our advocacy cause and our advocacy focus, what we want to be doing. Do we want to look at dispensaries or advertising, those types of things, and then actually bring those pieces up, make sure that they are known across the state so that we can bring them up to legislators, we can bring them up to decision makers. Even the Medical Marijuana Advisory Commission is going to be around for 5 years. So there's a 5-year time frame when folks are going to be able to put into this process their opinions and their thoughts and their expertise. So this is something that we should be able to take advantage of with MIssy. Wanted to really quickly go into, before we move along with this, so last Thursday, medical marijuana is now legal in Ohio. And what does that mean? We can't get it recommended yet. She talked a lot about recommendation, MIssy did. We don't have that set up for doctors to recommend. However, in the Ohio State Medical Association, Reggie Fields, who is their communications person, they have recommended that its members not act at this time. However, the affirmative defense, there's an affirmative defense in this piece of law that protects both physicians and patients in case they go outside of this process while the rules are not written. Now, once the rules are written, then we are able to stick to those. Right now, we're kind of in a gray period where there's not a whole lot of direction. They're still trying to get that together. But the Ohio State Medical Association said the affirmative defense piece allows a doctor to certify a patient who has a condition, but there's no real system in place to outline exactly what that certification process is. There's still not a formal standard of care for using medical marijuana in Ohio. So they are encouraging doctors to not act at this time. However, they do have an affirmative defense, it's hard to say, to perhaps be protected under the law. Law enforcement, officers, what will that look like if someone is caught with it, with marijuana? And they say, you know what, I'm using this medically. They could use an affirmative defense. And the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, their President Jay McDonald said, well, while it's a defense to be applied in the courtroom, in most cases for affirmative defenses written in state law, the officers take that and apply it on the scene. So basically, if a law enforcement officer does want to go forward with this, it's going to be up to the judge whether he buys a person's argument about affirmative defense and using it medically. Which means that if some guy is driving around with a U-Haul truck with 150 pounds in it, I doubt affirmative defense of using it medically is going to work. However, if someone is caught using it, again, we are a big decriminalized state. The most you can get is a $150 fine anyway for under 3.5 ounces, which is about 180 joints. So that they're mostly not, there's no jail time or anything like that. Anyway, it's strictly a fine. So that will be something up to the law enforcement officer until they actually get these laws and rules written and in effect. So some of the issues that that we saw from the Rocky Mountain Hyde report, again, it goes back to some of the old pieces that we have talked about that they've looked at in all 4 versions of the Rocky Mountain Hyde report. There's obviously drug driving, there's youth use, adult use, those types of things. One of the interesting pieces I thought in Section 9 that I think as you are considering some of those, as towns, communities are considering some of those bans, is something in Section 9 that's from Visit Denver. Visit Denver is their tourism board out in Colorado, and they basically had 3 key takeaways that they're getting from their surveys that they're giving to folks who are using their city to host conferences and visitors and things like that. Basically, They say that the downtown environment is the #1 complaint from meeting planners because of homelessness, youth, panhandling, the safety, drugs, including public marijuana consumption. Denver ranks very high on walkability, affordability, facilities, all of this great stuff. However, Denver, according to folks who visit there, is not considered a safe city. It's ranked significantly lower, according to interviews with the key convention planners. And what was interesting, the most interesting part to me about this whole piece was their quote, "Denver is losing visitors and valuable convention business as a result of these safety or perception of safety issues. Unfortunately, word is beginning to spread among meeting planners about the safety challenges Denver is facing. As the marketing organization for the city, we fear not being able to brand Denver away from this growing reputation." Basically, legalization, dispensaries, and those types of things. What it really is in downtown Denver, especially on that, I think it's 6th Street corridor there, which is their big touristy area. A lot of nice shops, a lot of really, really nice restaurants, is not being visited because of the safety. I was out there last August, and it's a very, very cool place, but you are stepping over homeless people. You're dealing with kids who are high. Even my waitress, I like to talk to waitresses when I go places, and she admitted that she had smoked a bowl right before she came into work. So she was tired and sat down beside me, and we chatted for probably 20 minutes. She wouldn't leave at that point. So it's very interesting that I think this is what folks who are visiting Denver, especially meeting planners, event planners, are seeing, that this is not a very safe city, and they might be staying away from hosting conventions there. So I think this is something that might be of interest to townspeople, to your city councils, and those types of things. And I encourage you to use this type of language and just show them this report from Visit Denver, which again is in Section 9 of the Rocky Mountain Haida Report. So moving on. Talking about community bands, we have a couple of them. Last time we brought up some other community bands, just to let you know what is going on around the state. And if you have a ban on dispensaries or discussion around medical marijuana dispensaries, please send them to us. We would love to host a website just to kind of give what the status is of all of these different communities. The Findlay mayor, got this from Zach Thomas. The Findlay mayor wanted to ban all dispensaries and grow facilities within the city limits. However, the city council did not take action. They wanted to understand the rules before a moratorium is established. They didn't understand what the rules were, and so they opted to hold on creating a ban first. So this is something that is going to have to be considered by many communities, actually a majority of communities across the state. Findlay is going this way. Tuscarawas County, Jody Salvo works there, along with Cheryl. And I was contacted, given an update that New Philadelphia has prohibited medical marijuana cultivators, processors, dispensaries in the city limits. And Ulrichsville, which is considering the issue. Also, Lawrence Township has banned dispensaries in their township, while Sugar Creek has created a 6-month moratorium, and that's becoming quite common. The 6-month moratorium seems to be something that seems to be a popular piece until the rules are written. City councils are waiting to see what that looks like. I just got this sent literally about 7 minutes before I started from Tony Ashton. Lancaster they are considering a ban, and they will discuss that at their next meeting, which is September 26th. They're going to vote on the ordinance. Actually, they have had a couple of different public hearings, I guess, on it, and so September 26th, they're going to vote on whether they're going to ban dispensaries. Again, the majority of communities are doing one of these 6-month types of bans. that until the rules are written, they can't really understand an issue until these things are put into some kind of rule. They don't know what advertising looks like. They don't know what dispensaries look like. They don't know whether neon signs and advertising in papers and those types of things, what that actually is going to look like in their communities. So they're doing a moratorium until rules are written, and then they'll move on from there. We still have a lot of work to do in educating folks, but again, the Rocky Mountain Hider report came out last week. The latest one shows a pretty grim picture of legalization out there. It does go back, it traces the marijuana industry from 2006, I think, onward. So you can see even when dispensaries were created in 2009 out in Colorado. So you can actually look at the data there around 2008, 2009, and see quite a spike in marijuana use, in drug driving, all of those types of things. So if you're going to look at something, I would go back to those years, but you do have other data that includes more of the legalization for recreational purposes. I encourage you to look at that at rmhidta.org. And there's a reports link on there, and that can link to all 4 of the reports there. So we also not only have marijuana, but we also have, and I got to finish this in 2 minutes, an ABV limit was eliminated for beer. That actually went into effect on August 30th. So we used to have a 12% ABV limit for beer. That is now no more. Craft brewers are very excited about it. I've seen a number of stories where they're talking about experimenting with beers up in the 20 to 30% range, and this is pretty on par for other states that surround us. The author of the bill said that it was about jobs and competitiveness with other states. The piece that we are looking at really is Four Loko. Four Loko is it's considered a beer. It's more of a wine cooler back in the day, but the way that its fermentation process is, I guess it's considered a beer. So it was created by 3 different OSU, Ohio State grads, and they have, so it is literally in our area now, where these beers, this Four Loko, that come in fruit punch, lemonade, watermelon, and gold and sour apple. You can actually get those now in the state at 14% ABV, which it's mostly young people who drink Four Loko. It's not like a 45-year-old guy is getting off work and going to go grab a 6-pack of Four Loko. And what was interesting, there's a piece on the Four Loko website of where you can buy this. And again, this is something that was not available before August 30th. There are now 153 locations that sell within 5 miles of Drug Free Action Alliance of Four Loko, which is just amazing to me. So I get that we're probably within 5 miles, near the campus area of OSU and those types of things. So this is something that I think we really need to educate our folks on. This is not regular beer. This is not your 5.5% Budweiser or whatever it is. It's a 14% alcoholic beverage, and this can really jack you up if you don't watch it, especially young people. So continue to educate folks that this Four Loko is probably in your area now. You might want to do an environmental scan and see if the gold and sour apple are both the 14% ABV. The others are mostly 8 to 12. So look for the gold or the sour apple Four Loko. And finally, we have the last update, CARA. They have given the Department of the United States Department of Health and Human Services has given us a direction about how much money each state is going to get. CARA was passed a month to 6 weeks ago, and nationally there will be $53 million that will be given to states across the nation. Ohio, because of its because of its high heroin use and death rate. I think we're #2 in the nation now, with 8 people a day dying because of heroin, because of accidental overdose. Ohio will get $2 million. They also listed out what departments will be getting the money and what it's to be used for. OMOS will be getting $371,616 to raise awareness about the dangers of sharing medications and work with pharmaceutical and medical communities on the risk of overprescribing. So that could definitely be in the prevention realm with our community folks. I do not know how they're going to release these funds. Have not had a conversation. A lot of the folks from OMOS are at the National Prevention Network conference this week. ODH will get $1 million to tackle high overdose rates through prescription drug prescribing and monitoring programs. And finally, the Ohio Department of Health will also get an additional $626,939 to better track fatal and non-fatal overdoses of heroin. So we need to look at that. It might be something that perhaps we can line up at a SPECA meeting or on an advocacy call, the next advocacy call. Maybe we can talk a little bit more, hear from OMOS about what that $371,000 looks like for communities to raise awareness about dangers of sharing medications. We do have some questions. From folks out in the, if you have a question, please type it in, and we will we'll be able to answer this. So the first comes from Megan. Megan Hatta. Has the city of Columbus or Franklin County taken any position or made a statement about where they stand? I have not heard one. I have not heard any kind of conversation. I am guessing that Columbus will be a mecca for any of the cities. Columbus, Akron, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton. That's where they'll probably be focusing a lot of the dispensaries at. Those that will be owning these things, because of the sheer population density of each of these places. But Columbus City or Franklin County has not taken any stand that I have seen yet, and I usually pay attention to these things pretty closely. So this might be something that, Megan, we can work together on getting this in front of either Mayor Ginther or our Franklin County commissioners, and ask them what their position is about this. You know, are we going to have dispensaries here in Columbus, Ohio? So good question. When did CARA have funding attached to it? They did during the bill. What was interesting was the bill was actually originally supposed to have $80 million attached to it across the country. Someone tried to add an amendment. One of the federal legislators tried to add an amendment that would have added like $400 million, but that was quickly shot out of the water. So what really happened was, instead of $80 million, we got $53 million. Again, Ohio gets a chunk of that in comparison to other states. But what has happened is the money that is appropriated for it is actually from the SAPT grant. It's from the Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment grant within SAMHSA. So it isn't any new money that they're adding to this. It is actually just money that's being reappropriated within our SAPT grant. So they actually have to use it for a certain designation, which is what they're doing here with this $53 million. So again, this is not new money. It's just reappropriated money, and it was done during the last of the bill process. There's a Diana Smith asked the question: when you say that ODH is giving $626,939 to better track fatal and non-fatal overdoses, is that for heroin alone or all overdoses? There is not clear guidance from the CARA bill. It talks a lot about addiction, so I'm hoping it's more than just heroin. I know that heroin is the big issue right now, and but I'm hoping that it is for more of that, but there's no direction on that. That might be up to the discretion of the Ohio Department of Health. So, we can reach out to those folks at the state level and ask that question, Diana. I think that is a fantastic question because we don't just, follow heroin. There's all kinds of issues that folks are having. This is about addiction, and it shouldn't just be about one certain substance. And I hope that was the intent of the bill. I don't see any other questions, but if you do, please feel free to contact me at tcoder@Drug-Free Action Alliance. This will also .org. This webinar, if you want to listen to it again or have your co-workers listen to it, will be recorded and put on our website, so you can hear Missy's information and then some of the information from what's going on around other communities. Again, if you have updates on community bans or discussions, please let us know. In fact, wow, I've got some other comments that I'll read out to you before we go. I would love to know that. I'll start a web page about this, about these community bans. Give us an update so that we can kind of look, and if something is enacted, then I'll try to get that and attach a link so you can have that language that is in place. So, and I'm trying to read this, so I sound like an idiot. But it says we've been collecting, Nicole Schisler says that we've been collecting the list of moratoriums in our area. She will send them. That is fantastic. Her community signed it last week. Alice Jennings says the city of Akron passed a one-year moratorium on medical marijuana. So again, fantastic. Would love to get what that looks like. In Stark County, Plain Township, Jackson Township, Lake Township, and Canton Local Township all placed bans. North Canton did a 6-month moratorium. That's from Allison Esper. So thank you so much for that, Allison. And then Fran Gerbig, as the Village of Brewster, along with the ones I just mentioned, have all voted to ban marijuana. These are the types of things that we would love, again, to have on our website, a web page, so that everyone can reference them, and we can actually have a running kind of count. I know that one of the big issues that we talk about at the national level is that 69% of all of Colorado does not have medical, nor does it have recreational marijuana. And that's a pretty big statement, is that the majority of those counties and cities in Colorado don't even have it legal. Everyone thinks that you can go out and just do that, but it's not legal in 70%, almost 70% of the state. So please send those to me. We'll get those on the website. We'll get those, and I'll send the link out. I'm going to try to do a much better job of getting an advocacy update, and hopefully we'll get that up and get that link sent out to everybody. Thank you so much. Sorry I went a little over, but Jody Salvo says Dover, New Philadelphia is also placed bans. So thank you so much, Jody. So I did want to thank you all for joining me this morning. Again, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please send them to me. Would love to hear from you. I think you all are doing a phenomenal job out there, because it is not because someone just decides to ban it or take action. It is because of the education that you're providing, for the advocacy that you are putting in your communities, and I just am so proud to be able to call you partners in the work that we do. So thank you so much, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time.